Hey guys, welcome back. Here you can see we've got another Model 3 that we're going to be giving a full restoration on it. This one's getting the works, including a new powder coat finish in the original color, which this isn't actually the original color on it. If you flip it over, you can see, I don't know if you can see on video or not, but this is closer to the original color here. They get faded out, you know, over the years. I mean, figure this is from 1930, probably 1936. So, you know, you get an idea of how old it is. You know, and the fact that it still has paint on it after that many years is pretty good too. But you can see this right here is probably more indicative of the original color of it, so that's what we go by. We use a color actually from Prismatic Powders called Creative Cream, which turns out to be an exact match. And as a matter of fact, if you look underneath of these machines, you'll see these screws. You can see, yeah, you can see this is far more indicative of the color than that. I hope this shows on the video. But anyways, I take these screws out and I don't even, you know, coat these screws. I put them back in the same color, and it's a good idea that, you know, when you look at the underneath of them, if you see the screws and this being the same color, you know, that's just a good idea of how well it matches. But anyways, the story on this one, from the note I got, is that this one was bought in 1979, and it was used a few times a year ever since, and then the cord went bad, so the owner tried to replace the cord, and I guess it didn't go very well or whatever. But anyways, it's in here now for full restoration. So we're gonna go ahead and get started disassembling this and see how it goes. Might as well break out all the tools at once. I think I'm going to start by taking off the front cover and the handle here. And these have the nice, sorry, got something in my throat. These have the nice metal fronts on them. I mean, this one's got to be polished up some, but you know, that's one of the things that I think people really like about these is the metal front on them. It looks like a grill from an old vehicle. That's what I always think of when I see them. You know, I think that's why I like them too. Plus, it's got the cool swept handle with the lines in it. Very cool retro Art Deco looking style on it. This is probably, if you were to poll everybody that owns a machine, or that, you know, that likes these Sunbeams, this is probably what will come in, you know, among the top favorite as far as style. Alright, so this is ready to be cleaned up and powder coated. The handle is in really good shape on here, so that just get cleaned up. Alright, let me get to where I can get you guys a good view here, or as good of a view as I can. Let's pop off this gearbox cover. And you can see some, you know, discoloration on here. That's from old oil and grease that gets on there and just starts breaking everything down, or it breaks down and starts to solidify, and it basically just gets a residue on everything, which is also the same thing that makes them run slow or seizes them up. Once it gets on, you know, on your moving parts, especially like on your shafts. You know, when it gets gummy like that, it'll cause a lot of drag and cause them to barely turn. If it sets a little longer, it'll solidify and just seize them right up. Alright, I'm not liking the way these two screws are feeling here. Alright, this one's coming. Let's see what we can do with this one. This one seems to be a little, the slot seems to be a little stripped out where you put the screwdriver as well. There we go. Sometimes if they seem really tight, just go back and forth with it and try and go a little more looser every time. And if it's just in there being gummed up with crap, that'll usually break it loose. If you get corrosion in there, one of the easiest things to do is to just heat it up with the area where the screw goes in. Heat that up to expand it, and the screw will usually come right out. I was asked about penetrating oil on it, and it's tough to get penetrating oil in there because you've got a screw where the head is sit flat against the metal, but then your penetrating oil would also have to get past this metal and also past the gasket to get down into the threads. So anyways, looking at this, you can see this has got a decent amount of grease in it, but it's not the best grease. I mean, it's not as bad as I would have expected, but it's a little thicker than it needs to be. I thought it would have been a little more solidified and rubbery, which is what you'll find in a lot of these. You see it doesn't look like a lot of grease in them because the liquid part has separated and just run right out of them and made a mess of everything, and then you're left with just a little bit of like rubbery stuff with a little more solid consistency. Alright, get our gasket off and wipe this down. It's a greasy job. Alright, get some of this grease out of here. Yeah, this thing actually has quite a bit of grease in it. I'm surprised to see this much in here. I don't know if this is re-greased at one point or if grease is added to it, but this is actually considerably more than I'm used to seeing in these older models, from the 30s. Alright, that's about all we can get to for now. All these parts that are ready to get sandblasted and put into a pile. Alright, let's go ahead and start cleaning off all the parts of our speed control here. And gotta find the right socket if I had it. I haven't had enough coffee yet today. All I do is just look at the size. It's a 9/16 back here. I should have just looked at it and realized that, but first one of the day. Alright. You can see this is a nice shape. It's not cracked or chipped around the edges. Get that cleaned up. This is what this little pin here is what the bakelite dial on the back rides on. It rides on a ramp and it pushes it in and out for controlling the speed. Two screws out of here. I do see this has a broken piece on it. I'll show you guys in a minute. On the vent right here, this should have, it should look like this. It should have a rib in here on the vent, and it's missing. I mean, that could have happened, easily enough, just getting bumped into something. I mean, these are just basically a pot metal. anyway, and it's pretty brittle. Alright, you can see we've got our typical carbon buildup inside here, you know, stuck to like an oily residue. Makes it pretty funky. But they clean up nice, so pop our screws out. There's 3 screws that hold this plate in here. And you get to your pin for that on off once you get these screws out, and also this part right here that controls the speed. Now, show you guys something else. When this is in here, inside here, this rides on the shaft, and these prongs on here sit underneath these little nubs for the contacts on here. I don't know if you can see those moving, but that pin I was telling you about rides on a ramp, and it sits on here, and as you turn it, you know, it will of course push it down. I think actually down is slower, so it, you know, when it first kicks on, it's probably down here, and then as you turn it towards higher speed, it lets it up a little bit. And what that does is just increases the distance between these points here. And you know, these are weighted, so as it spins around, I think they want to naturally close, open, I don't know. But either way, I'm not sure exactly how this setup works, but that's what that pin does. It pushes on this, and like I said, as you go faster, it lets it up, so there's less tension on here, and it closes the distance between here. So, like I said, not sure the technical aspect of how it works, but that's what those parts there do. Alright, so let's pull off this governor assembly here. And hopefully this one will slide right off. Last few that we've had have been pretty stubborn coming off. But not this one. Alright, and this right here is where your secondary brushes ride. And as usual, you know, it's pretty dark, but they polish up nice, and then we'll get this all cleaned up. The contacts on here look great. They look like they have no wear whatsoever, so that's a good sign for it. And in here you got your secondary brushes, of course, which, you know, if you look at any of them, you'll think, man, they look awful short. I probably got to replace them, but those are actually good. They don't wear a lot, and there's really not a lot of room in here for, you know, the length of the brush and the spring when it's compressed. You know, so they don't have a lot of length to begin with. So now we've got that done, I'm going to disconnect these wires right here, and we'll go ahead and start pulling this apart. I noticed this one is missing a wire already. There's usually a wire fastened up here, and this one doesn't have it. So I'm going to grab a couple nut drivers, and I'll be right back. Alright, so let's go ahead and start taking these out. Now I think this has had some work done on it, because it looks like some fresher solder on here, where this resistor attaches to these posts on there. So I'm thinking this may have had some work done on it at some point. Alright, get that nut off. Now it's a matter of get our washer off here first. So now it's just a matter of getting the wire off the ring terminal popped off of that, which a lot of times is easier said than done. Alright, let's work on this one instead. This wire is pulled extremely tight for some reason. two on here. Alright, got both of those off. This one is like extremely tight. Seems to have no slack on it to help it come off of here. There we go. Yeah, I had no slack whatsoever. Alright, so now that we got our wires off of here, oh, there's another wire on there too, it looks like. Alright, that's an unusual setup for the wires on here. Haven't seen one like this, so it'll be interesting to see where they go to and what it looks like on the inside. Usually you got one wire here, one up here, and two here. So it's funny how some of these will be they'll be different on the inside. You know, you'll see different things that you don't see on any others like it, or something will be done differently. I'm not sure if it's, you know, from the factory like that. I can't imagine them doing things differently, or if somebody had done work on it at some point in time and put it back together differently. It's so hard to tell. But anyways, we can pull this whole switch and resistor assembly out now, because this right here is your on-off switch. There we go. And resistor, you can see it's peeling, but it's most likely still good. These Model 3 resistors seem to be pretty darn durable. Alright, let's check our brushes. We've only got one brush cap on here, the other one's broken. Okay, brushes look decent. So you can see the length on that. That one anyway looks decent. Let's check the other one. I'm assuming it'll be the same. So we'll have to replace this brush cap. Somebody put a, I mean, this isn't even part of a brush cap here. It's just like a little threaded fitting. Hex head nut or whatever on here. I don't know. It looks like a brush cap, sort of, but inside the brush caps, I don't believe any of these have this fitting there. But then again, maybe they do. They look identical. So maybe under here there is a hex head. Alright, that brush looks just as good. Alright, so give these wires a quick look here. This wire seems to come from up high, so I think this one may have been originally up at the top. And then this one at the bottom, of course, and then you got these two that seem to be pretty well stuck down here. So we'll have to take a close look at the wiring in here and see what's going on with that. I'm going to go ahead and just pull off our little washer here too. I think I am. Alright, there is a buildup, it's catching on. Oh, there we go, we got it. On the plus side though, everything seems to turn freely. So there's like no shaft stuck, or it doesn't even feel like there's really any drag on them, so that's a good sign. We'll go ahead and get this rear plate pulled off of here. And this has got a pretty good build-up inside here. This may not come out all that easily, but we'll persevere and get it. See, we got our key to come right out. Sometimes these slide right out, and sometimes they don't want to move at all, and this one doesn't seem to want to move. Nope. Well, it's gonna come out once we get this out here. And you see it just slid quite a bit. There we go. Kind of just working it back and forth so it comes out evenly. I took the armature with it. Alright, so this will have to get cleaned up. As you can see, it's bone dry. There's absolutely no lubrication there, but this one's got like an oily film on it. The armature itself looks good. So we'll just have to polish this up. Good to go. Alright, I am going to spin this around and we'll get the gears off, but while I'm looking at the back, I might as well take off these clips on the brush holders. Alright, they usually just pop right up, just hook a screwdriver under the lip. One is usually down and one up. And they just hook a screwdriver under the lip and pry it. But the problem is, it's hard for me to see in there, so I kept missing the lip on that one, but it's out now. Alright. Yeah, shafts turn nice and free. Let's get a little more of this gunk out of here. And hopefully these set screws will come right out. And at least on this one, as compared to like the Model K and the M4s, these aren't recessed down in there, so you can actually get a little more leverage on them, which is going to be needed for that one, because that one doesn't want to unscrew with these, so I'll have to get something else on there. Give those Irwin vice grips a try. Alright. Let's see if we can coax this shaft out. There we go. Yeah, it looks pretty gooey. I'll clean it up. Once it's all degreased and polished up, it'll be nice. Gear looks good. Now, let's give these piece of crap Irwins one more shot here. So instead of going straight in, maybe we can get them to work like this. Not hold my breath, but alright. Well, that sucks. Didn't even really have a chance to do any work because it just snapped right off. So that sucks. That means we're going to have to drill that out. Okay, so we haven't had a set screw on a Sunbeam strap in like forever, so I guess it shouldn't complain too much. But yeah, it's just a pain to drill that out there. But yeah, we'll get it. And then we'll just have to replace that set screw. Get a detent out. Alright, I'm going to go and take this off the base now and get our wiring disconnected. So I'm going to rearrange some stuff here. Okay, let's get a view of the bottom. this cord connection cover off. I had to clear the slot out though, it's packed full of crud. And I know this cord looks bad out here, but I'm sure it looks even worse inside of here. See the stuff that's going to have to get scraped off of here. This isolator seems to be pretty shot. It's just coming out in pieces, it's like petrified. And that just tells me that this little separator in here is going to be a royal pain to get out. Yep, as you can see, the wiring in here has absolutely no coating left on it. What is on there is just crumbling right off, so this cord definitely needed to be replaced. So the owner was on the right track trying to replace the cord on here. It was definitely shot. I can't get anything to even move now. Everything is so solidified in here. Most of it seems to be from that isolator. It's almost like it melted and then solidified all over everything in here. Alright, got the cord free. Pull what's left of it through. Get in here to chop it off. Alright. Yeah, that's what's left of the old cord. Pretty crappy. Alright, there's got a solder here that's got to get cut off. I can't quite get down to it though. I have to get a different pair of cutters, I believe, for this. Or not, I can't even hang on to the ones I got. Alright. Let's see if I can't get this separator out of here. I think it's kind of glued in. So it may take a bit of carving to get it out of here. These just chunks of that isolator just flying out of here. That's what I said, it's like petrified. Let me see if I can start breaking this out of here. out in pieces. Okay, so we worked diligently on getting this separator out of here, one piece at a time. And you can see we got like an arsenal of tools here that we use to get that out. So now I'm going to try and pull this filter out of here, if it'll go. This is usually pretty soggy and gooey. And this one's no exception. But it should come right out. I need some help getting the wires straight for it. There we go. Now I think it's just the wiring that's holding it up. Two of the wires that went into the back here are attached to it. So once we get those freed up, it should pull right through. Keyword being should. And it looks like the wiring to the field coil is kind of rough shape as well. There we go. So we have that out. That can get tossed as well. So we have a pile of garbage going here, stuff that's not going back in. So I'm going to go through and get that cleaned up quick. And then we can get our field coil out of there. Clean up these tools too. They're all gooey. Like almost the whole toolbox out right now. Alright, this is okay, so we've got pretty much everything ready to go here. I've got 3 more feet that I got to take out of here. This has got a big dent right here that's got to be taken out. Fortunately, this is steel, so I'll be able to get this dent out of there no problem. If this was alloy, you know, the aluminum or the pot metal alloy, the dent would pretty much have to stay, because those things they can get bent one direction, but when you try and straighten them out, all they want to do is crack or break. So fortunately, being steel, we'll be able to knock this dent out of there no problem. Pull our 3 feet out. This will be ready to go. Drive this pin out here so we can get our lever assembly out. That'll be ready to go. And on here, we've got to drill out our broken set screw, pull our shaft and gear out, and drive this pin out, and then there's a bushing in here that's got to come out, and then that's ready to go. So once we get all this done, we're going to get it all sandblasted, get it powder coated, and get all these parts over here all cleaned up and ready to go. Get everything polished up and stuff, and then we'll come back after we get everything put back together and see how she runs. Alright, so we got this Model 3 all wrapped up and ready to go now. We've got new feet on the bottom. We had some we had a new cord on here. We got everything cleaned out. All the grease inside is new. We got our powder coat finish on here, back to the original color. We got our decal on there, and basically we got it all ready to go. Let's go ahead and turn it on and give it a listen to. Alright, so as you can tell, it runs nice and smooth, sounds good, and should run for many years to come. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down below and we'll get back to them as soon as we can. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up, let us know that you liked it, and don't forget to subscribe and click that bell so that you can get notified of any other videos that we post, because we've got some cool stuff coming up that you may want to see. And the only way that you'll know is if you get notified, so subscribe and click the bell. But as always, guys, appreciate you watching, and we will catch you on the next one. Thanks.